fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
An illusion will be created so vast, so large that it escapes their perception. Those who see it will be thought of as insane. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the Absolute. We will work together always, and we will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespans short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. For all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. They will see our products being used in films, and will grow accustomed to them, and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them that it's for their health. We will start early on, when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their minds and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicines that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak, so they succumb to us and our power. They will grow depressed, slow and obese. And when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods, so that they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so that they may never be one with the oneness of all. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives. We will use fear as our weapon. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. We will always hide our objective and carry out our plan. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper from their toil. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure, always, for it is the way. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives. We will make them kill each other when it suits us, and tell them what to think and how. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. We will incite animosity between them through our factions. When a light shall shine among them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. We will make them rip each other's hearts out and kill their own children. We will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friend.
Don't move, don't move! Don't touch anything! You're grounded by the tires, okay? The car's gonna explode! I can only hold on for so long. You know what to do.
Don't!
When I do this, it'll skip you and it'll all be over. It's the only way we can cheat death again.
No, don't!
Clear? I am not gonna let it beat us both. You know what to do. I'll always be with you.
Alex, get away from there!
Alex. Oh, damn it. You can't do this to me. Come on, baby. Come on.
Alex.
Dark forces that seek to control society have a specific method to their madness. We must understand that the bizarre events we are seeing today are to usher in a new way of life, a new society. To achieve this, they must destroy certain facets of our existing way of life, such as spirituality, mainly all valid spiritual studies that propagate Christ consciousness, freedom of speech, and the right to defend ourselves. In other words, society must regress to an authoritarian structure. This is not rocket science. We simply need to open a history book to see this very pattern repeated at different levels of human development. However, we also must understand that this apparent controlled demolition of society is very delicate. Why? Because certain facets of society must not only be destroyed, but the chaotic energy that is generated from their destruction must be directly channeled into another event. In other words, each operation that is done to mankind at this time must loop into another operation, another part of the plan. The occult energy that is generated from dramatic events must be carried on. It must be transferred, just like the continual charge moving through various circuits. This allows a continuous flow of harvested life force energy to feed certain deities or egregores and groups. And I cannot emphasize this enough. These entities need to be fed. If they are not, all dark control structures on this planet fall. These groups, physical and non-physical, create specific harmful influences that we, humanity, end up taking on. However, and this is a very big however, if the harvested life force is not able to transfer from one event into another, there is a net loss of energy. This loss of energy over time can lead to the exposure and collapse of an entire system of control. Occult entities that are used to hide or protect certain individuals starve and dissolve. Without this protection, important truths about what is truly going on are revealed, sometimes through seemingly miraculous or unusual ways. To be clear, all systems of control on this planet rely on huge amounts of life force energy to exist. Why I'm mentioning this is that all of the chaotic energy from the last 2 years is at a point where it must be channeled into another event, another operation, another large operation. And there is currently much difficulty in this transfer happening at this time because the timing for the next event was initially planned for a later date, or a certain level of consent was not achieved, and thus not enough energy is available to transfer to the next event for it to succeed. The darker forces are finding themselves out of time or out of sync with their plans. You could say they are having difficulty controlling the collective energy so that it may properly transfer into the next event in their plan. The lag or energy deficit is about 3 to 6 months. They would need 3 to 6 more months of humanity giving in to them without any awakenings occurring. Or that could be understood as humanity developing too quickly, approximately 3 to 6 months ahead of their original plans. For this reason, a great pressure is currently being applied to mankind as a way of preventing or slowing down the fires of truth and liberty. However, no matter what is done, a void or junction exists. They are at a loss, and thus their movements for the next 3 to 6 months can be viewed as attempts to correct that loss. While things are very challenging at this time, please remember that the greatest burden lies on those that seek to create an unnatural, inhuman world. Now that we understand how important energy transference is in times like this, all that we must do is show up, and show up in love. All that we must do is maintain our humanity. Nothing can be taken from us. We only lose what we consent to give away. Now, I am not saying to avoid taking action or to avoid standing up. What I am saying is that all action that we take should be based in love. It should be based in a higher reason, a higher energy. It should be coherent. Otherwise, the action that we take is no greater or more powerful than the chaos that we are experiencing now. It only feeds into exactly what we don't want. Old giants are falling. A new world is forming. And may we have the strength to move in peace and grace, knowing that it is our very beingness, our divine humanity, that lies at the core of all victories. Only when we betray ourselves do we feed the beast.
Hey, what's up, family? What is going on? Man, so, guys, I want to talk to y'all real quick. Y'all know I always talk real quick, right? Well, real slow. Takes a while to get the message out. Look at a hawk. See that? Couple of hawks. Y'all see that? So, anywho, guys, a couple things I want to touch on. One, we doing the this month. We doing the Cancer Awareness Month. Basically, this is our Cancer Awareness Month. You know, the NFL got one. The October month of October, they do like usually they do like pink and stuff like that. Like a lot of football leagues and stuff, they do pink for like breast cancer awareness and stuff like that. So we're gonna do the pink, man. We're doing the pink bottles. Send out the pink bottles with the packages, man. If you get like a bundle or something, or you get the which one? I can't think of which bundle, but you got the bundle that comes with the body shot and the Genesis. That particular bundle, if you get that, the body shot, the bottles are pink. So this is in reference to cancer awareness, man. We doing our own cancer awareness because people don't really know what cancer really is coming from. So what a better way than to present these bottles, right? So people can see for themselves, man. Couple things though, like we did get a lot, man. We got swamped last week, man, with orders. Got a lot of orders, man. So a lot of orders are gonna be going out in the next couple days. So we should, everybody that did order, you should be getting your order, I would say, within a week. It's gonna take a little time because we did get kind of backed up. But something I want to touch on, man. It's occurred to me, like, the problem is, man, this is why I keep on telling y'all why I do the stuff the way I do it, is because some people, man, you gotta understand, I've been doing videos for roughly like 5 years, right? And some of y'all been rocking with me for 5 years. Some of y'all been rocking with me for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. Some people just pop up and be on there. And I know it because when I do a video and I put it on Rumble, like, I get a lot of, on Rumble, I get a lot of feedback as far as the analytics on there, as far as new people and people that's been there. So I get, it'll say like 15,000 views on the video, right? But it'll say like 7,000 of those are unique views, meaning like this is a new person that just stumbled across your video. Right? So for them, they don't know nothing. They ain't watched the other 100, 200 videos that I done over the last 5 years. They ain't seen none of that. So you gotta put yourself in their shoes. You just coming across this information, all right? And you got some dude, some black dude standing on this balcony telling you don't do this, don't do that. This is what's causing this, this is that. Look at these satanic, this and that. You gotta get your spiritual eye. Like, you just stumbled across me. You don't know me from Adam, and I'm telling you all this information. You gonna think that you in the wrong spot, or that I'm half crazy, right? So that stuff, a lot of it's gonna go right over your head. A lot of it's gonna go right over your head, which is one reason, like I tell y'all, man, I go back so much. You know, some people like, man, Nate, you be using recycled clips. Yeah, I do, because I connect. Like, a lot of times for people that's been here, I grab stuff that y'all might have already seen. All right, now I throw that in, but it'll correlate with something new, some new information that we stumbled across, so it'll piece it together for you and also piece it together for the new people, right? So that's how you get these people to start to understand, these newbies, to understand kind of what's happening out here. So I do that, man. But like, for instance, I had somebody that hit me up, man, and was like, why you doing this, and why you pushing this and this? I'm like, dude, you must not have seen my video from like a year and a half ago. This is why I'm doing this like this. This is why I incorporated this. This is why we doing this like this. You know what I'm saying? But they was like all, you know, they was all frustrated and stuff because they didn't understand my methods. They didn't understand my methods. They didn't understand, you know, the way I move. Which, I get it, man. Shoot, I don't have time though. I don't have time to go back and explain to everybody everything that's going on. I just don't. But I mean, I can point you in a direction, man. But all I can say is like, hey, it's in the videos from the past, man. Like, I've talked about this. You know, this is why I'm doing it. Like, this is why I do this. This is why we incorporated that. You know what I mean? So, for some people though, man, it just ain't gonna click. It's not gonna register. And then you got people, man, I tell you all the time, you got people that's halfway awake. Just like in real life, man, when you wake up, you just kind of like, you know, you got your eyes open. You can't really see everything that's going on. Like, you might, like, say some robbers in the house, right? And you barely get a glimpse at them because you kind of halfway sleep. You open your eyes like, man, somebody in the house? What is that? Like, your eyes is halfway open. You're not going to see them doing what they doing unless you wake up completely like, hold up, man, hold on, man, what are y'all doing? Same thing, man, same thing. So for people, man, what I've come across is you got people, and I'm not saying this, understand this, guys, because I had somebody say something. I got so many stuff I'm trying to address at one time. There was a guy who was like, But why don't you just show us information and let us decide for ourselves what we want to believe in this now? Like, essentially, that's what I do. Like, I pile up religious stuff in there. Hey, I give you perspectives from spirituality. I give you all of that. I tell you my stance on some things, but I don't sit there and try to dictate your stance. I just give you the information. You know what I'm saying? And what you choose to do with it, the parts you believe, that's your business, right? So, anywho, like I was saying, man, some things, like, the people grasp. Okay, they grasp, they accept as, you know, oh, this is real. And then you got things that people don't. You know, people don't. Like, I'll give y'all an example. Like, you ever notice, like, when something good happens, like something good happens for somebody, they be like, won't he do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, God did that. But when something bad happens, what do they say? Oh, the devil did this. That's why the devil doing this, and that other. You see? But they when it's a good, positive or negative thing, they always apply those principles, right? But sometimes when something bad happens, that's God doing that to you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could have some karmic stuff coming back, man. You could have did something that you know, the universe is correcting. All right, you could have stuff happen for some other things to transpire, like divine order, divine intervention. Like, you may not understand it when it happens, but it's a reason. It's either it's something to learn from, because this is a learning. We're here to learn. Like, you're here to grow, you're here to learn, you're here to graduate, okay? Or you're here to repeat, okay? Just like high school. There's folks that don't graduate high school. People that don't graduate elementary school, middle school, you know? Now they got the No Child Left Behind rule, but I don't know if it's no spirit left behind rule. I don't know if that exists. But yeah, so like, people want to apply stuff the way they want to apply it, man, when it's best suits them. You know, it's almost the same. Like, you get people like bad, like, you'll get some bad kids. It's some bad kids and stuff out there, right? That'll go and they'll commit a crime, right? They'll commit a crime, and then they'll be on the news, you know, later on, maybe like 3 months later, like, oh, what's his name, got shot and killed, this, that, and the other. And what they always say, he was a great kid. He was good. He was trying to get his life together. He wasn't bad like that. Little they know, this dude was breaking their houses, fighting people, selling drugs, beating his girlfriend, whatever. You know, they have a long history of bad crap they done done, right? And people will still sit up there and try to swear on everything that they were good and they didn't deserve what happened to them, okay? But in essence, it very well could have been that they were getting karma. They was getting what they had coming, all right? And I'm not saying that's for every situation, but there are situations when that does occur. Then there's the situations when things happen for a reason, okay? Now, I understand the difference between the two. Some things happen for a reason, and also there's a reason for things that happen, if that makes sense. So, let me give him an example, I guess. Some things happen for a reason. Okay, so, like, say you was about to go somewhere, right? You jump up, man. You get your clothes on. You know, you about to head out the door, right? You about to head out the door, and you forget your key. You can't find your keys. Okay, you run around for about 5-10 minutes. You find your keys. All right. Then you go outside, you got a flat tire. Dang, got a flat tire. So now you change your flat tire, you take time to do all that. Boom. And then, after you get your flat tire changed, you start on your way. Mind you, now you about 30 minutes late for whatever you got going on, right? So, traveling down the road, start hearing sirens. Start noticing traffic backed up, right? You you get to this particular entry onto the highway and they got it blocked off. So what you do, you take the scenic route, you go around and stuff, and you seeing all this backed up traffic, and then you see all these fire trucks, ambulance stuff. You get halfway by and you notice they got the jaws of life out trying to pull some people out the car. Right? Mind you, this the same route that you take every day. Same route you take every day on your way to work. And just so happened, this particular day, you got jammed up because you couldn't find your keys. Your tire was flat. You got all that stuff and you got going, but by the time you get to where you was trying to get to, all this stuff was happening. Okay? So, when you look at it from that perspective, like, if I hadn't misplaced my keys and I didn't have that flat tire, then I would have been right here somewhere around that time. Now, you can't estimate for sure, but you know, because you don't know what time the accident really actually occurred. But it's a 5-6 car accident. It got the jaws of life out, right? And you avoided that because you had some stuff you had to do that was just out of the ordinary, not an ordinary morning for you, right? Everything happens for a reason, right? That particular reason, it wasn't for you to be at that spot at that time. Kind of like Final Destination or something. You see what I'm saying? So that's an example of everything happening for a reason. It wasn't your time. The universe didn't want you in that spot at that time. God didn't want you there at that time so that you wouldn't be involved in that. Okay? But at the same token, somebody else did end up in that accident. And guess what happened with them? Okay? They got a call early in the morning. Hey, we need you to get down here so we can get these files done. Or, hey, can you come in a little early? You know what I'm saying? So we can get this taken care of. We need to get this building inspected or whatever. And guess what? They flying down the highway. Now they on the highway going down that route at a time they normally don't. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? It's 2 or 3 other people doing the same dang thing. They got the same call. Or they got the same information that they need to go at this certain time. Right? Just like you got the flat tire and you had the keys and stuff that was missing. Somebody else, their kid was sick that morning. So they not going to work. On that same road that y'all always travel on. Coincidence? Maybe not. But things happen for a reason. I say that, man, because I've experienced this on several occasions myself. I've experienced this where something happened and then I got to the spot where I normally go to and it was like a bad accident or something. You know, and I'm like, dang, that might have been me. I could have been in that spot at that time. Had this and this not happened, right? So you look at that and then, like, as far as a reason things happen, like, you could have did something that you shouldn't have been doing, okay, and brought some bad stuff back on you, like getting involved with the wrong folks, or doing something negative to somebody, or you do something. Say you do something negative to somebody, you had some bad karma come back your way for something that you did or something you shouldn't have did. Like, God could send you a blessing and you could turn it into a curse because you chose to do something else. You ignored what he was telling you to do and you wanted to do something else, and for that reason you missed your blessing, and then you go a whole different route or something that shouldn't have even happened to you. Okay, like I'll give you an example. All right, say you now I don't know if I want to give that example. Let me think for a second, guys, before I tell you this one. Okay, yeah, I'm getting this good sun, man, but it's turning me up, man. It's burning my skin. It's so hot. No, it's a good day, though. It's not really like that, man. I just want to put a shirt on. But as I was saying, man, like, it's a reason things happen as well, okay? Like, for instance, God could be calling you to do something, to take a path, to take a journey, and you could be ignoring that, okay? You could be doing all kinds of stuff. You could be, like, for me, for instance, like, I'm talking to y'all now, right? But this might be what God wants me to do. So when I try to do other things, he might block it. Like, no, I'm not gonna let you do it. This is your path, this is your journey. You need to be talking to people, okay? You need to be warning people. You need to be saving people. That very well may be my plan, God's plan for me. Okay, like I said, I didn't decide to do none of this stuff, man. It just kind of happened, all right? Now, I did start off with talking about the evils of this world and stuff, but to the depths that it's been gotten to now, it's a whole nother level, you know, because I've learned so much. We've grown over the time I've been doing this, but initially, man, like, this wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was like I was drawn to do it, okay? Then you look at, like, even creating a detox shop. That's not something I did not want to do that. Okay, people, some of you guys were bugging me about it. Like, hey, what's up with this and that? What's up with that? I'm like, man, I kept putting it off. I'm like, I'm not, you know, I just didn't feel like doing it, you know. But the more people kept hitting me up, and I saw some of the struggles and some of the stuff people was going through, man, and then I started to understand from a spiritual standpoint, like, hey, you think just because you help people as far as, you know, avoiding taking a walk and taking the pop quiz and stuff, you think that that's enough? Like, you done? Like, that's all you need to do, and you just go back to just being regular? And I thought about that, and I said, well, after everything I learned and everything I know now, there's more people that need this information. More people need to know what's really happening to them. More people need to be saved, okay? Whether it be physically or spiritually, more people need help, man. So I had to pivot and say, okay, well, if this is what God wants me to do, then I'm gonna do it, you know, because he's the one that's put me in this position to do all this. He's the one that guided me this. He's shown me this and shown me that stuff that I need to know to be the person I am, to be able to be a guide to people. You understand what I'm saying? Like I tell y'all, it wasn't something I chose to do. My whole path, I did not choose for me. Stuff has happened. Stuff has aligned, man. Experiences I done went through, man, and put me in the position to do the stuff that I do. You know what I'm saying? And the same goes for you as well. Whether you see it or not, that's another thing, man. Like it go back to, like, Delbert Blair, and I might play the piece in here with him. Like,
the children in 1994 will be the adults in the year 2000. Even if they're just born now, they will mature very, very fast, both physically and mentally, with the new vibrations. Why? Because they have not had a lot of time to clog up. They have not had a lot of time to get all of the shots that have held us back, all of the misteachings that we've had to unlearn. They're here seeking truth, and if they hear a lie, they know a lie just like that. 3 lies and you've lost them. It'll take you a year to regain what you told them in 3 lies. You cannot lie to these children. But if you start telling them the truth and don't treat them like children, treat them with love and treat them as advanced adults, they will mature like they're supposed to very fast. When the physical body grows fast, the mental body is supposed to grow 5 times as fast. Look at those developing young and now understand what you've messed up if you haven't tried to reach the mind, which is 5 times faster than the body. Did you just hear what I said? Look at those advanced, developed, at 12 and 13, looking like you didn't look until you were 20 and 25. And understand that the brain is 5 times ahead of that, and see the opportunity you may be missing.
he's talking about like certain souls and stuff, man, has chosen to come back here. Now, if you chose to come back here, like I told you, when you got back here, they already started working on your pineal gland, working on your connection to the source, making sure that you don't know what you're back here for, what you're supposed to do.
Lies. There are no titles and names. The names change with the frequency of the brain. And we live the same dream, the same nightmare in many cases, until we learn to undo it. These same battles that were fought by the Ottoman Empire, the Persian Empire, the Sumerian Empire, Mesopotamia I, Mesopotamia II, Mesopotamia III, back again souls doing the same stupid thing all over again. I say it's stupid and I should not use that because that's judgmental. I think it's a waste of time to do it. But what happened was, people are saying and bringing back ancestors. Ancestors will not return to you if they're in the higher heavens. Not even for you, because they've learned their lessons about physical reality, which is a conundrum. It is no such thing as physical reality. It's the lowest form of reality you can come from. And every time they got to stoop down and do that, they're lowering their vibrations. Rather that you raise yours. And the are saying, and so to get their attention, they already know you're here. And those that don't know you're here, you don't want them anyway. Now let me explain that. Many souls left bodies quickly in battle. Wherever you have great battles fought, there's hauntings that go on. Because the souls are taken out of the physical body like that. The spirit doesn't know what to do. The soul can't reclaim its consciousness with the sun, and so therefore it walks, forgetting that time is non-dimensional forever on that space because it doesn't know what happened. Every time you relive that in your consciousness, you're contacting them in the highest plane and giving them the courage and energy to relive it. Let them move on. Other than that, because of this draconic influence, that battle will be fought over and over and over again, because that's what the draconic reptiles want. Because if you get past that, you'll go to the 4th dimension, up to the 12th dimension. Only 7 dimensions in this part, but there seem to be infinite dimensions otherwise, and you're still caught up there. They can feed off of you, literally and figuratively, off of your blood empire, like a vampire, or physically misuse you, as they do, because you're allowing that. Progressed souls go through this incarnation, and then they learn that was a mistake. Mistake because they needed to know. Once you need to know, why do you have to keep reliving it? It is the draconic influence that causes us to relive these things, changes our minds, makes us forget, and we still live the same battles. Just to make that even more direct rather than figuratively. It is my understanding, limited as it may be, that from roughly about 67 to 89, what they want to call indigo babies and souls were being born. The indigo children were those that had been killed, maimed, horribly slaughtered in wars, that were anxious to come back and get it on to do something about it. They came back to fight or flight. Flight meant they would take somebody else out with them, or they're going to fight. They came back to get it off. What did they do? The draconic souls who operate on a higher frequency in the main, the 4th dimension, knew this was going to happen. So they set traps for those souls. And when they came in, and they knew they were here to fight them, they made them think they're supposed to fight an enemy over in Vietnam, an enemy over in Korea, an enemy in the Persian Gulf. Give them false analogies as to reasons for that to happen. And they went off and they did what they wanted to fight. But they did not fight their enemy. They fight somebody that their enemy told them to go fight. Never realizing the mistake they'd made. And then, and I know people, a lot of the hip-hop guys are really pissed at this, I'm sorry. You know, they even fought the air. You're talking about, sure, when you have venom and unqualified channel energy to release, you do it that way. But what are you doing? You're fighting the spirits of the air around you, the sylphs. You're fighting your own inner consciousness. You're fighting your own animal instinct and the animal brain that they put these on these bodies. What are you fighting? Why are you so angry? Directed anger can be much better used than through physical uses of it. That's what you call focused thought, whether it be for good or bad, it still works. But that way, they then put them in uniforms, put them there all one, go fight a common enemy. The enemy was unseen, but they gave you a mortal enemy to fight. Now, that's past now. Because you see, you had those from those other empires being born into different bodies, and they had told the same thing. So then they had you fighting each other like children under reptilian control, and that's what we were. Now, you're having crystals being born. Whole different ball game.
Yeah, guys, so I want to go ahead and put this piece in with Dr. Deborah Blair, man, because as I was explaining y'all before, like, this really relates to what I was saying. If you heard what he was saying about babies between the I want to say 60, 64, or 67 and like 89, okay, which that I fall into that bracket. Okay, on top of that, he was saying that those that was slaughtered, like these kids and stuff that was slaughtered in these wars and whatnot. Like, I don't know the age I was in the dreams I used to have, but I used to have a dream, like I said, a reoccurring dream that I was killed in war. That's how and then to hear him saying this, like, that resonated with me. You know what I mean? Like, I could identify with him, like, I couldn't understand. But he also talked about in here about how they were going to make sure they was giving those kids a bunch of these shots and things, right? Talking about schedules, immunizations.
Now, the planet is going to higher frequency. So now these crystals can come in. They weren't fixing to come back in then because they're advanced souls. Now with these crystals, they're born with eyes wide open, with spines erect. They're born with knowledge and understanding and wisdom. They can work with animals and insects. They can work with vibrations of the air. They can work with fire, water, all the elements. And they can even work with the mothers while in the womb and the fathers out of the womb. They are a very advanced type of people. They're not here with hate. They're here to understand what makes for hate and how to change it to love. These are the children that now will be given the energies and powers that we say we want, but don't qualify for by our very actions. What are they doing to them? Trying to give them 7 shots at birth, including hepatitis C, try to give them booster shots, give them all the pharmaceutical, PHARM, okay? 7,000 pharmaceutical things in Merck's Index, United States Dispensary of Pharmaceutical Medicine. Give them all these drugs to lower their vibration, and even still give them half a chance. Their metabolism is such they will still try to get rid of those drugs. And what it's doing is slowing down the inevitable. The planet is going upward. These souls that are coming in are already in higher vibration. They will either help, or when they come together and really hinder, you haven't seen death and destruction yet. Not that they're killers, but they will bring forth through them the consciousness of higher authority, which will not set. You can't live 1 minute when this planet is going to the 5th dimension and you hold an evil thought. You automatically killed yourself or allow that to come in at will. So it's a change now in matter, in time, and in space. It's a change in consciousness, a change in subconsciousness, and a change in outer consciousness. It means that now these souls, and through us, and through them, if we will listen to them, we can begin to do, while even in the flesh, higher things, not making the mistake of slipping backwards, because the child shall lead them, as it is many of our mothers and fathers now.
So for me, it makes sense. Like, dang, that's around the time, like when I was going to, it was like 5 and 6 years old. So I talk about, by the time you get to kindergarten, they make sure you have a certain number of shots. You know what I'm saying? You have to have them certain ones so that you can go. But that's to calcify, all right, to remove your spiritual ability, all the stuff that you are, all the stuff that you know, is supposed to wipe you clean. All right. So, and that's why, like he said, he's mentioned the specific ones. Remember, he just said Hep C. Remember what Dr. What's her name? Judy Markowitz was talking about how you shouldn't even have to take a Hep C into a certain point because your immune system as a child ain't built up for that anyway. So why they have you doing it? You see what I'm saying? So see how we piecing this together? But see, I got to go back. I got to take y'all back to grab that information so that you can relate it to what's going on today and identify with those different mechanisms and methods that they implemented then that affects us now. You see what I'm saying? So if I don't go and grab this information, man, and piece it together in an eloquent way, then people ain't going to get it. They're not going to get it. But he pointed that out, man, and then, like I said, it resonated with me. So that kind of, you know, spun me to dig more into what he talking about and the stuff that he be on. And it's other stuff as it pertains to spirituality and everything else, man. You like, we know that the books and stuff, the stuff that they left here for us has been a lot, but you can't deny things that's going on, man, and stuff as it relates to the spiritual realm and the stuff as it affects us today and the stuff that we find out. You got to start putting together. Then you have to have a path. You got to have a source to you know, kind of grab that information from. Okay, and if somebody is telling you something that's all been ringing true to this point, you gotta go through the rest of the information, man. And you can still decide for yourself if you want to accept everything they talking about. But I think it's important to at least identify a solid source. You know what I mean? Like, identify a solid source, and from there, iron out the different pieces that make sense to you that you already been able to relate to other things. And then you can start piecing it together at your own pace, okay, as you gather more information. And that's kind of how I've been doing it, man. But I figured this part was important. You know, so he was talking about sleep and stuff, energy fields, okay, and your energy being depleted at some point where you have to rest, you have to sleep so that you can rebuild your energy, okay. And at that time, like when you sleep, like your soul goes out of the body and it comes back in. All right, this goes back hand in hand, man, with lowering your energy field. You know what I'm saying? If your energy field is low, is weakened, it's to a point where spirits can inhabit you as well. Okay, that's why you have people, like I said, that they get to a low point and all of a sudden their vessel is wide open. Okay, so if you constantly got negative, low energy, like what these parasites do to you. Parasites make you have low energy. That's why people can't move around. People that's infested with a lot of parasites, man, they vibrating low enough to be inhabited, to be used, okay, for these spirits and stuff to climb in and out of, okay. But they also in a state where their immune system weakened, and it's just a lot of different implications behind it, man, for somebody that's got parasites and parasitic infections, which is why they use the parasites the way they do. But you get these people that's so low, you know what I'm saying, and they get to a point where they're able to be accessed.
Every night we go to sleep, and nobody questions where do we go. I've often asked, do you punch a ticket? Do you have a transfer? What vehicle do you use? How much fuel does it take? And where do you go? Everybody on earth that has a soul sleeps, unless you're very refined, and even then you may sleep at least once a month. Sleep merely means that your body can no longer hold the soul because it's run out of energy, and the body becomes so despicably horrible to the soul that until it cleans up itself, the soul leaves. So each night you die. You will die every 3 days, or you will die standing up. People go to sleep standing up. People had guard duty, just going through. They'll still be with you, you know, they're still there. But you have to go to sleep because the energy in your body is not strong enough to maintain you. So you have to get out so the body can renew itself. You, as a soul, go out and receive some energy, jump back into the body, and then you go. Now, if that is the case, then you have to ask, what trip did you take? Where did you go? What is the action, and what is the reaction? That is another whole case of study. But I simply say, each night we die. So death is only death when it's final, for what we think is final. When we die each night, we're going to be reborn. If not, then you got obsequies, funerals, and everybody's mourning. If you do, hey, you made it back. But sometimes we get back with trace memories. We have a dream. I said, oh, I had a REM state, and a rapid eye movement state, and I dreamed this, and I dreamed it. It seemed so real. It was real. Because you got out of the false reality, which doesn't exist on this planet, to the real reality that does off this planet, where you came from. That's why many people don't like to return. Many people get lost out in space and consciousness. This is why when you start talking about the speed of something, it's incalculable, the speed of something on a planet like this, because this planet is so low in vibration. Speed of light, speed of sound, no such thing. It doesn't exist in the internal world that is external to the Creator. Only exists then. When you're next to the Creator, there is no such thing as time. So for a soul, there's no time. But time, it must remember when it comes back into the body, and that's when you say, I don't know how long I was asleep. I don't know where I went. Man, it was so real, was there? Because she really became real. Here is a confinement. Here is where you're here to do one thing, learn. And then the time is to show what you've learned and what you're willing to practice. So encapsulating it back to the original question. when David Icke and so are talking about people with souls and people without souls and shapeshifters and all, he's telling you the truth. There's a soulless wonder and there's souls. In many cases, the shapeshifters don't have souls. I usually classify them into womb-born versus egg-borns. All womb-borns have souls. They gestate, trimester into a female mammary, in this particular case a mammo, and then they're born at the time when they reach the frequency where they can now become physical. But they were still existing, and if you notice in the first trimesters with some people, they even look like a tadpole. Shows you that reptile organ. I'm talking truth. I don't talk lies, and I don't talk about stuff I don't understand. Many people go up half-cocked. They haven't spent enough study. That's why I tell you I'm not a master, and neither are the ones that tell you they're masters, because masters will not talk to you like this. We're students. You're a student. Whatever grade we're in is the grade of consciousness that we choose to be in. Back to the original point. There are shapeshifters, from my perspective. They operate from the fourth dimension into the third dimension. Our planet and all on this planet are presently in the third dimension, and in so doing, they are not reaching down and they're manipulating it, like a laboratory science with the guinea pig, or some other form of creature he feels or she feels is lower than them, and they do whatever they want to them. This is why they've been doing that. The catch is that if you have a soul, even though you are now on that dimension, you have no dimension that can bind you for long. Only in a state of death or sleep do you need to transform. That's why when yogams, rishi men, different, whatever you want to call the magician or the shaman, they can go into a state by which they feel no pain, because they really take the soul away from the body, stay in that dimension, and the wiring is disconnected even though the wiring is there. So they don't feel anything there. You feel this because you're now earthbound, you believe it, it's been incorporated into you, and so therefore you're part of that physical thing. But each time you leave, when you go to sleep, if you don't wake up, you don't know what's happened to your body, which lets you know that the connection is what you have to make. And when all the wiring is back in and you settle it all in, you're now physical and completely awake. There are shapeshifters, there are walk-ins, there are walkouts, and there are souls and there are soulless. That's my criteria. That's what I'm basing my consciousness on.
What is the difference between the spirit and the soul?
Wow. You don't play, do you? Man, I didn't think I'd ever put this all in one take for one person, but I'm being made to do so, not you making me, telling me to do so, so I put it on. This tape must be going to go to a lot of people. In my limited understanding, with the study that I do as a soul person in a physical body, very human at this time, the idea of a spirit is that a spirit is an idea whose time has come to a physical place. The soul is a vehicle of transportation for that spirit. The spirit is then the vehicle of transportation for the body, and all are controlled by mind. In many cases, we use the term mind, meaning brain. The mind is to the spirit and soul as the brain is to the body. I'll repeat that one more time. The mind is to the spirit and soul as the brain is to the body. A vehicle which lets you wire in all these things and let it function on a frequency, because everything must have an energy source. Rather than burn out the soul by going directly to that, that soul is then built to pull in the universal soul, which in this case is the sun. That's why they would tell you there's nothing new under a sun. So once you come under sun jurisdiction and are born there, you must have an energy source, which is the sun, and your soul, Sol, again, like they had their parable and allegory of Solomon, which means soul man or sun man. They're one and the same. Enough souls together form a sun. Individual souls are individual man here to learn. If you remember again that Solomon said, just to digress a bit, vanity, vanity, all I see is vanity. Before, because you know, he understood then that on this plane, everything is desired. On the plane where he came from and remembered, everything was will. And I always say willpower meets desire. Desire moves inward, takes in things because you desire, you covet them. Will moves outward. You command them, you demand them, and you're a part of them because you understand the will that is from the Creator with the desire that is from God and from lower creatures and things.
So it's like a marriage. It's like one goes out, one comes back.
A symbiotic relationship, simply meaning everybody benefits from it, and everybody's supposed to learn from it. In many cases, we no longer benefit. In many cases, we're incapable of learning because of the drugs we take and the poor teachers that we have. Incapability is something that can change to capability. but you must put the will to do so. Like you seek, others don't seek, you'll get, they won't.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm just telling y'all this from my standpoint, what I've been dealing with, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to you and your journey and what you're supposed to do. All right? And I'm not saying that you necessarily supposed to be doing what I'm doing. That may not be for you. You know what I'm saying? But there's some reason. Everybody has a purpose and a reason, and it's for you to figure out what it is, man. You know? Some of y'all are just like me and you don't know it. So the reason why some of y'all know stuff and you've been inclined, like you've been rolling with me to soak stuff up so that you can be an instrument or be a vessel that's to be used to also help in getting people the right information or steering somebody clear of danger or whatever it's supposed to be. You know, like I remember Tupac used to say, man, it was a music artist I used to follow, and he turned and went against the Illuminati and everything, which probably ultimately ended up in his death. But he used to say, he said, I might not be the one to change the world, but I guarantee you I'm gonna be the voice that somebody hears that leads them to change the world.
So I don't fit in. That's hell. It's hell when you can't be around your peers. All my life I grew up around black people, poor people, but I can't live around poor people now because they'll rob me. And why would they rob me? Because they're starving, because there's no money here. But they're telling me, now that I made a little money, I have to move here. So it's not like no one's ever trying to deal with this section. They're just moving away from it. And we're going to have more stars coming from the ghetto, but they're gonna all move this way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the society is doing is leeching off the ghetto. They use the ghetto for their pain, for their sorrow, for their culture, for their music, for their happiness, for their movies, to talk about boys in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be another I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver. You know, I don't want them to be like, they know what I'm going to say because it's polite. They know what I'm going to say. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.
Who knows, man? I look back on that now, and it's like I get that I hear that message totally different today. Totally different. Wow. Anyway, no man, what I was saying though is like sometimes we could do stuff, man, and everything be going wrong. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you doing could be going wrong because you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. And you gonna keep on forcing the issue, and it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work, man. You know, and that goes for some of y'all far as I don't care if it's a job or a relationship that you're trying to do. You could be doing somebody wrong in your family or something, man, trying to hurt them or destroy them and stuff. And you doing all that, man, is only messing you up and hurting yourself, okay? Because you operating out of evil, you operate out of hate, you know, you got spite, you know, you doing this stuff, man, and it's having negative effects on you and your life, you know, and some people don't necessarily recognize that. They don't necessarily recognize that, you know, but, like, you could actually be doing more harm to your own self by trying to avoid what you're really supposed to do. And like I said, man, I've experienced these things, so I know, you know, and then I know I sound like a pastor right now, but what I'm telling you guys, man, is like you have to pay attention. Like signs and symbols, things happen, things occur, and stuff keep pointing you to something. Do something. It may be for you to do it. You understand what I mean? Like you might got a call from somebody like, man, why you ain't never do this, and that, and the other. Like, I wasn't really into that, man. I ain't really. Then the next day you could get like something in the mail that's asking you about doing that. Same thing that your friend just called you about, right? You're like, you just throw it in the trash. Then you riding down the street and you see a billboard saying boom, 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 basically relating to what you just was talking about with your boy. And you just blowing it off, constantly just moving around it like it don't apply to you. And that very well could be your blessing, or it could be the path or the direction that you need to go to get to it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, when you get on the right path, things will start to align and start to fall in place for that to happen. But the more you avoid it, you try to do your own thing, and you know, like I say, you won't understand why some things ain't working out. You know, why some things ain't working out, but some things that's being thrown in your face, you ignoring. So if God wants you to jump off that lane and jump in this other lane, but you refusing to do that, guess what? Guess what he do? Boom, drop an obstacle. Like let's drop let's drop this chair right off the front of this truck, right in the middle of his lane. So guess what you gotta do? You gotta swerve. You swerve into the left lane now, right? You driving this lane. But you didn't want to get out of that lane. You wanted to drive in that lane, right? You see what I'm saying? But the whole time, the left lane was wide open for you. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is, God, like, you got to start paying attention to the signs and symbols, man, and you just don't know what's being thrown at you, especially, man, if you not vibrating high, you're not able to really pay attention, like spiritually. Like when Roddy Piper put those glasses on, he was able to see stuff. Now we just talking about as far as reading things, and he was able to see different faces and stuff like that. But remember, just like Neo in the Matrix, when he awakened and knew that he was the one, now he could see like the code. He could see the code in the Matrix. So now he able to see everything as far as the path that's laid out. The path was right in front of him. He seen the dudes and everything like that. It's the same thing for us. Like when you get to a point where you more spiritually inclined, you know your purpose, you know your reason for being here, you know what you're supposed to be doing. But if you don't, which like I said, it's a reason why they incorporated the stuff they do when you're born, so that you don't know who you are, you don't know what the heck you're doing here, and you can't put nothing together. And then they start to program it, start dumping information on it, dumping this, dumping that. So you have no time to assess what's happening or what's your real purpose. This is by design. By design. So, like I said, the 80s babies and stuff like that, that's here to help, that's here to fight this battle and stuff. A lot of you not even gonna know. A lot of you not even gonna know. What they got? The star seeds. Those are indigo children. It's something about them souls that came here during that time frame. I don't know if there was something special about the portal or what it was, man. I don't know that part. But those children that came here, they during that time frame was said to be special. Now whether they had their special powers and stuff like that, who knows? But regardless if they did it or not, they still got hit when they got here. All right, so it's like it's like reinforcements coming in. You know, like you in a war, and reinforcements they dropping more troops in, more troops to help. But as soon as they getting down, they hitting the ground, boom, they get shot up. You know what I'm saying? So before they can even get into their path, into their journey, they are already taking hits. You see what I'm saying? So pretty much most of the good guys, they rendered useless out the gate. and it takes some time for them to get their mind right. So, but yeah, like I said, man, I say that to say this, like, I've had people that have come in, you know, in the comments and stuff like that, man, and had people that's gonna come in, you know, get notes and things like that, messages where people don't understand my angle. They might not agree with it, you know, and that's cool. And at the same token, like I tell y'all all the time, and I don't know why people do it, I said, I'm not saying everything I'm saying is right. I feel like it's pretty much on point. You know, it's pretty much on point. And I've done my own research to get there, you know, and it's for everybody to do their research. But just because I have arrived at a certain point doesn't mean the next man has, okay? And vice versa. So if that's where I'm at, and this is the information I'm giving, that's me, that's where I'm at. Where you at, you might not get to where I'm at for a couple more months. Could be a year or so, you know? And you may not even be getting the same information I'm getting, for whatever reason, right? So you got to be able to have some kind of connection, though, man, and be able to decipher and be able to dissect that information as it comes in, man, and apply it to what you know, and then reevaluate things as that information is applied, right? So, for instance, like, we've been talking so much about the DEPOP, you know, and the mind controlled enslavement and all that stuff, man. And I tell y'all all the time, it's been going on. It's been going on. But what else has been going on outside of that? Talk about DEPOP, but is this the first time that they done this? Is it the first time? Really, is it the first time? And if you remember, guys, I did a video about this, man, probably like 2 years ago. We was talking about the mudslides and the orphan trains and stuff, right? And how they repopulated the Western world and other areas and things like that. But prior to that, you had these big old cities and places where they had these massive buildings and stuff, man. It's like, how did they create them massive buildings? They ain't hardly even got no people. Where are all the people at? Y'all remember, and I might put a piece in here, man. I think I'm gonna go back and put a piece in there so people can understand. But you look at the level of architecture and stuff, man. You look at the level of, like, the craftsmanship, come on, like, the technology that would have to be in play to create these structures and things. The lack of the lack of resources that they had at that time. And even you look at the undeveloped land and stuff, the undeveloped roads and things, and you have to wonder how they were able to do that stuff, right? And then with the lack of manpower, because where are all the people at, right? In these cities and things, man, they take these pictures. How did y'all even get the pictures? Okay, I wouldn't even go as far as the cameras and the technology to take the pictures that they took. But as you can see, some of the buildings were already in place and stuff. They went somewhat underground. It's no different than Atlantis. Okay, what happened to
Now, something kind of struck me, thinking about the mud floods and all of this stuff. I was looking at archaeological digs, all this kinds of stuff, and it's literally just right there, archaeological digs. Do you get it? Why is everything underground? Why are all these ancient cities underground? Why are all these ancient artifacts underground? Because they were covered up with ground. So somehow, entire cities all across the world have been covered up, and we have to dig them out. Okay? It's almost so simple, it's retarded. You just have to think about that. Why is everything underground? Okay, so we're going to take a look at some interesting stories and just things. There's the Atlantis of the Sands, all right, the Arabian Peninsula, Atlantis of the Sands, the lost city of Ubar. Okay, another thing, when I used to live in Kuwait, it always kind of made me wonder, how the heck is there so much sand in this area? How do you make sand? How do you make sand? And once you figure out how you make sand, why is there so much of it here? Where did all the sand come from? All right, I remember being out there in sandstorms, right? You step outside, it's like you're on Mars. Everything is just orange, sand covering the sky, clouds of sand. Okay, I left my window open and there was sand everywhere. Yeah, sand, you're never not covered in sand. Where did all the sand come from? What could be under the sand? All right. Another lost city, Iram, city of the pillars, all right? Ubar, Urum. Interesting stuff. I've always found this stuff fascinating. Lost cities around the world, you know, things we have to uncover and dig up because they've been covered up, okay? And back in, I think it was 2006, there was an Indonesian mud volcano, okay? So it's not crazy that mud can just swoop in and cover entire places. There's entire mud volcanoes, all right? So mud volcanoes can cover everything. Lots of water and sediment can just roll in and cover everything. Cover up entire cities and the people within them. And this is not nothing, it's actually real, all right? Mud volcanoes, mud floods. It also got me thinking about the U.S. Capitol, seeing this photo of the U.S. Capitol excavation and how there's an entire layer of the Capitol underground. You know, what is going on here? Literally everything we know has been covered up. Literally everything we know has been covered up by mud. Okay, and our history has been rewritten. They either took this cataclysm, whatever happened, and ran with it in order to hide everything, and then they just rewrote everything from there. Or, just, you know, just who knows? Who knows? Everything is just rewritten every time there's a war. But everything we know is literally covered up. Yeah. This is wild, but this is kind of the mud floods, and it ties in with Tartaria. All right, there's Dwarka in India, entire cities under the sea. All right, cities under the sea. This is common throughout the world along coastlines. All right, cities under the sea, cities underground that we have to dig up through, you know, archaeological digs. Another lost city is Al-Madam. Or this one isn't a lost city, but it shows you just how easy it is for sand to just roll in and cover an entire city. All right, this is in Sharjah. Sharjah is a emirate just above Dubai. I got to go to Dubai, but I didn't get to check out Sharjah. Göbekli Tepe, look at, once again, underground. We had to dig it out. Why? Because it's underground. How did it get underground? How is everything covered up? Why is everything archaeological covered in dirt? Why is everything under us? The Sphinx, when we dug up the Sphinx, all right, it was underground. Now they're saying there might be another one underground. Okay, the Sphinx was underground. Why is everything underground? And this kind of got me thinking, right? So we have the pyramid, and they're like, oh, there's the entrance to the pyramid. No, that looks like you just busted that open. It's because what you're looking at is only a third of what's actually still underground. The entire pyramid is still buried underground, okay? Everything was covered. How did this happen? There was some sort of cataclysm that covered everything. Easter Island, way out in the South Pacific, the Moai, right? All of these things were covered. They were buried. You see the heads, but then you dig, and it's actually entire bodies. Huge, tall bodies. It was all covered up. What happened? What covered everything? Mud. A great flood. Okay? In Rome, here's the modern city, all right? And notice how they're digging. Look at the size of this man, and then look how deep they have to dig to find this stuff, all right? It's all underground. Something rolled in and we're just built cities on top of cities. Our history and everything we know about history has literally been covered up. We're going to keep looking.
I made a trip to Switzerland to talk with my good friend and mentor Eric von Daniken, who gave me some great insights into the history behind these incredible and mysterious sites. So Eric, tell me about Pumapunku, because what I find interesting is, according to some translations, somebody suggested there is a calendar there. And this calendar goes back some 20,000 or so years.
Now this calendar, George, you're referring to, is clearly proven. There are scientific books written by Dr. Edmund Kiss, that's 50, 60 years ago, by Dr. Professor Bellamy. I knew him personally, brilliant explorers, and they absolutely deciphered this calendar of Tiwanaku. And it dates back at least 24,000 years in the past. But our modern archaeology does not accept these dates because it contradicts our evolution.
In 1928, German explorer Edmund Kiss drew elaborately detailed recreations of what he believed once stood at both Tiwanaku and Pumapunku. He became one of the first to suggest that the ancient structures were far older than the traditionally accepted date of 200 AD. Another German researcher, Professor Hans Schindler-Bellamy, dated Pumapunku to before 10,000 BC and theorized that it was destroyed by a flood.
The Spanish conquerors, when they arrived, they were up there with their soldiers, and they took the Inca, the ruler of them, and they showed them these ruins of Pumapunku. And they asked them, how did you make this? Because we, from Spain, we were not able to move such gigantic blocks. And then the Inca ruler said, it was not us who made it, it was the gods who made it, in one simple night.
Mainstream archaeologists who dismiss the local stories of gods constructing Pumapunku have long argued that ancient people could have moved these megalithic stones through sheer manpower alone. During an experiment conducted in 1966, members of the Bolivian army attempted to drag a 2-ton megalithic block and raise it using only rope. They barely managed to shift it by a few inches. But assuming that the ancient people here really were able to somehow raise these giant blocks using nothing more than rope and manpower, how did they get them here in the first place? Mainstream archaeologists say the massive stones were hewn at quarries over 60 miles away, and then they were rolled to Pumapunku on logs. But there is one major problem with this theory. We're at an altitude of over 12,000 feet, which means there are no trees, because trees only grow to a certain altitude. And if somebody proposes that this whole place was deforested and they just cut down the trees in order to move around these blocks, then they don't know what they're talking about. So the idea of wooden rollers falls by the wayside. Weight of 16 mid-sized cars. I'm always fascinated by the fact that giant monoliths were erected by various ancient cultures all over the world. For example, you can find them at Stonehenge in England, Karahunj in southern Armenia, and even as far away as Easter Island. So you have to ask yourself how and why were so-called technologically primitive people erecting these enormous stone monoliths without the help of any large machinery. This is incredible. So this is one of the largest freestanding stones. I mean, you know, when I see stuff like this, that's when I wonder,
how did they carry it? How did they quarried it in this case? Yes, they must have quarried it and then put it upright, yes.
Yeah, I mean, so how do you think these stones were brought here?
Yes, they must have been dragged on a spread of roller stones.
While some mainstream archaeologists suggest that giant blocks of stone were moved from quarries to the temples with the use of carts that ran along the so-called cart ruts, others claim that they were moved by placing them on the top of stone balls and hauling them across the countryside. But while it's true that a number of spherical stones have been found at Malta's megalithic temples, it still doesn't explain why such enormous stones were even used in the first place. You know, when I see this, I mean, it's just this massive rock, but, you know, the weight, I just don't know if the spheres would have withstood the weight. 20 tons of, because the spheres were made of limestone too, right?
And the rough surface would explain why these spheres were of actually different sizes, different diameters, but we have never discovered.
Bringing it here and then just, you know, heaving it up.
That is another one, yes.
It's like just this obelisk just standing
there. It's about more than 15 feet, 16 feet tall.
I'm still in awe of the size and complexity of Hajar'im. I mean, a 17-foot-tall monolith? How did supposedly primitive Stone Age people move something this enormous? Today, we would use the most advanced of heavy machinery. And so the idea that some other type of technology was used becomes very plausible. And the idea that these structures today are considered to be temples implies worship. Who did they worship? The gods. Well, in my opinion, that is when the questioning begins, because we have to then ask ourselves, who were these gods?
I came across a pretty cool theory. The theory is that many buildings used today could have been built by another oldish civilization and were adopted or stolen, then repaired. What are some of these buildings? The White House, the Salt Lake Temple, the US state capitals, many of the St. Petersburg's buildings in Russia, and the Bund area in Shanghai, China. Just to name a few. However, what exactly isn't inherited does vary from theorist to theorist. But yes, these do spread throughout the world. It is great having you choose my videos to watch, and I hope you enjoy them. So why is this believed? The main oddity pushing forward this theory is how many of these buildings seem to be sunken into the ground. Let's look at the Salt Lake Temple. It's a great big building in Utah of the United States, and is said to have started construction from 1847 to 1893. This place had some touch-ups for the surrounding ground of the temple in 1963, revealing a lot of structure underneath the building. It looks to continue, maybe even having another entranceway. The windows also seem to continue, and perhaps they were originally meant to be used as such. Once the touch-ups finished, the area was buried back again. Let's look at some of the buildings in St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg of Russia was founded during 1703 and named after Peter the Great. Many of these buildings do look to cut things off into the ground, like potential window holes or entrances. These ground-level designs seem strange nonetheless. This is where the term mud flood comes in, as this is a theory of what happened to these buildings. Worldwide structures being flooded and buried during the Middle Ages, the general idea being around 1600 AD. Could have been a cataclysm or a result of war, but nonetheless imply these buildings were made before it happened, which would go against the official construction dates of these buildings. Perhaps these dates could be the repair dates? Here are some images of Salt Lake Temple during construction. There is evidence of the construction, however it does not mean it was 100% built from the ground up. This allows history to say it was under construction during these times while not having to say the whole story. This is an interesting photo of the construction of the Iowa state capitol in 1884. A point I've seen being made is that this area was not cleared before beginning the construction of the building. It's surrounded by trees and is generally leveled badly. The clearing was done after its creation. So I feel as though I should begin to talk about the branch theory of this. When searching about the mud flood theory, you may have also come across the term Tartaria. It is difficult to ascertain exactly what Tartaria is. According to Wikipedia, it is a region or multiple regions in Asia that represent unknown areas by Europeans. Meanwhile, in the Encyclopedia Britannica, Volume 3 of 1771, it explains Tartaria as a vast country in the northern parts of Asia. A British 1783 table of flags show Tartaria, or Tartary in this case, as one of the flags. The theory is that this civilization was much bigger than thought and could have existed for hundreds of years. The inherited buildings buried under the mud floods is attributed to this civilization, and in extension is believed to have been worldwide. Tartaria would have been conquered maybe little by little and slowly whittled down, then afterwards would have been erased by history, the ruins being inherited and repaired to the towns and buildings seen now. The motive for this is difficult to say, but it could have had to do with propaganda during the wars, and history just stuck with it. There are a few places to look for learning more about this theory. Some YouTube channels who discuss this include Earth Unknown, John Levy, and Wise Up for a collection of oddities in the world. There is also the site Stolen History that discusses this stuff in detail. It should be noted that the mud floods do not seem to be connected to the Younger Dryas Cataclysm theory proposing a flood 12,000 years ago, as the mud floods are assumed to have happened a few hundred years ago. However, many parallels exist with the inheritance and burying of many ancient structures. Maybe connections can be made with the two floods. If anyone plans to make a rebuttal, there are a few things I'd like to see be answered. Number 1, an explanation on how buildings may have dug underground another way, or if not, then why underground structures look like they have entrances or windows. Number 2, photo evidence of some of the buildings under early construction or of empty land they were on. And 3, what the term Tartaria means.
Just end up underwater like that.
The Noah's Ark flood myth from the Bible was also attributed to Zasudra and Atrahasis in Sumerian and Mesopotamian culture. In Aztec mythology, only Coxcoxtli and his wife Coxaquetzal were forewarned of the flood by God and survived by building a huge boat. They wandered for 104 years before landing in Antlan. The Meco-Acanesics of Central America say Tespi built a large boat, loaded it with animals, grains, seeds, and escaped the flood with his wife and children. The Maya say the Great Mother and Great Father survived and repopulated the world after the flood. The Chickasaw Native Americans say only one family and 2 animals of every kind were saved from the flood. The same basic story is found in almost 600 cultures around the world. Alan Alford wrote, "From almost every culture around the world, there emerge more than 500 strikingly similar legends of a great flood. These legends all share a common theme, of mankind being swept away, with the exception of one man and his family who survived. We in the West generally know the survivor's name as Noah, but to the Aztecs he was Nene, whilst in the Near East he was Atrahasis, Utnapishtim, or Zasudra. As for his means of escape, the Bible describes an ark, or boat. Mesopotamian records describe a submersible vessel, and the Aztec version refers to a hollowed-out log. According to the Aztec legend, men were saved by turning into fish. Ancient texts from the Near East speak of the flood as a major catastrophe, not a local or trivial event, but a great time divider. There are flood myths from the Inuits of Alaska, to the Canarians of Ecuador, from the Tupinamba of Brazil and the Araucanians of Chile, to the Pehuenche and Yamana of Tierra del Fuego, from the Sumerians and early Mesopotamians to the Hopi, Iroquois, and Sioux Indians of North America, Thailand, Laos, Australia, Japan, China, Greece, Egypt, India, North, South, and Central America. The story is found all the world over, but the claims are quite difficult to swallow. Is the flood just a story, a myth with metaphorical meaning, or a literal account of worldwide flooding? Michael Tessarian suggests perhaps the greatest myth being purveyed is that myths are just myths. In Japan, the Yonaguni megalith is undoubtedly man-made, yet it has been underwater since at least 8000 BC. It is 8 stories high, 500 feet long, with internal and external right angles, steps, rooms, and the stage altar-like area with huge human faces and headdresses carved into the stone. In the Gulf of Cambay, in northwest India, there are 2 multiple mile-long and wide underwater cities which, taken together, are the size of Manhattan. About 2,000 human fossilized remains have been found in these cities and have all carbon dated to around 7500 BC. Many underwater ruins have been found off the coast of Cuba, 2,200 feet below sea level. There have been over 200 sunken cities found in the Mediterranean alone. The possibility of a literal flood is not to be scoffed at. Perhaps only the more specific elements of the story are metaphorical. Frank Joseph writes, Plato tells us of an advanced civilization that existed 9,000 years before himself, when the Atlantic was navigable and traversed by people the world over. One of the most revealing details of Timaeus is its mention of the opposite continent, an unmistakable reference to America. Its inclusion proves not only that the ancient Greeks knew what lay on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean 2,000 years before Columbus rediscovered it, but underscores the veracity of Plato's Atlantis account. Plato wrote about an advanced civilization that flourished in Atlantis around 10,000 BC. He even made the point that some take Atlantis to be a myth, but it is absolutely true. He even said when the flood occurred, figuring approximately 9,600 BC. Atlantean-like legends are on every inhabited continent and always include advanced beings, often revered as gods, with high technology and developed culture. Nearly 600 cultures around the world speak about a worldwide flood caused by angry gods that all but wiped out this advanced civilization. Plato wrote, "You do not know that there formerly dwelt in your land the fairest and noblest race of men which ever lived, and that you and your whole city Athens are descended from a seed or remnant of them which survived. The power came forth out of the Atlantic Ocean, for in those days the Atlantic was navigable, and there was an island situated in from the straits, which are by you called the Pillars of Hercules. The island was larger than Libya and Asia put together, and was the way to other islands. Now in this island of Atlantis there was a great and wonderful empire, which had rule over the whole island, and several others, and over parts of the continent, and furthermore the men of Atlantis had subjected the parts of Libya within the columns of Hercules, as far as Egypt, and of Europe as far as Tyrrhenia." It's interesting that King Atlas is said to have ruled Atlantis, an ancient sunken city in the Atlantic Ocean. There is also Mount Atlas in Morocco, and the etymology of Atlas or the Atlantic is indeed from Atlantis. Strangely enough, however, as the Atlantean scholar Commons Beaumont wrote, the word Atlantis possesses no derivation from any known language of the Old World, either ancient or modern, yet among the so-called native races of America, it is a living word. The Toltecs, Nahuatlacas, and Aztecs of South America, and all the races that settled Mexico traced their ancestors back to a starting point called Aztlan, or Atlan, in the Atlantic. It was a land they described as too fair and beautiful to be left willingly, which was lost under the sea after a great flood. Aztec temples are called Teocalli, which interestingly compares with the Greek theos, God, and Kallias, house or dwelling of. Europeans first settling in Delaware and Maryland found a river named by the natives Potomac, which is just like the Greek word Potomos, meaning river. The native Basques of Western Europe also claim to be descendants from a continent called Atlantica, which sank beneath the waves. The Basque language itself shares no lingual affinities with any other European language, but is very similar to Native American languages. The natives of Mindanao in the Philippines are the Atas, who have the same flood myth and claim descent from light-skinned invaders who intermarried with the Aboriginals. Ignatius Donnelly wrote, "Look at it, an Atlas mountain on the shore of Africa, an Atlan town on the shore of America, the Atlantes living along the north and west coast of Africa, an Aztec people from Aztlan in Central America, an ocean rolling between the two worlds called the Atlantic, a mythical deity called Atlas holding the world on his shoulders, and an immemorial tradition of an island of Atlantis. Can all these things be the result of accident?" With the Atlantic Ocean and the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, we see the theme of water and hills or mountains being equated with Atlas. This is repeated worldwide. In Japan, Atago is a hill in the center of Tokyo where gods brought civilization to Japan. Atagi are the Japanese priests protecting wisdom from prehistory. In Tongo, Ata Mountain and Memorial are devoted to red-haired, fair-skinned gods who came long ago and blessed the natives. Italy comes from Italia, which comes from Atalia, a word meaning land of Atlas. Atalia is also the name of an ancient ceremonial mound in Biarritz. Across the Atlantic, the Aztecs also venerated a holy mountain by that name. Atalaya is the name of a small Quechua Indian town, and Atalia.
So you wonder, well, how did this happen? Well, we see in our world today is we in a controlled environment. We're in a controlled atmosphere. Like everything is controlled. From life to death is controlled. How we live, what we consume, what we absorb. Tune in to your national programming so that you can get your daily dose of bullshit. So they can tell you all the lies and stuff that you need to hear so that your ass can't think outside the box. Okay? Now, we don't know what was applied with these other civilizations or these other eras of life that existed. We don't know. We don't know what all was implemented. Okay? So we can only assume that it's a possibility that some level of destruction was utilized against these people as well. Okay? And when you look at it in the big scheme of things, it's the same culprits behind it every time. Like, they stay hidden and stay undiscovered, and they just kind of mold the population in the world as they see fit. Like the weather is controlled. They want some clouds to pop up, guess what? They putting clouds up. They want it to rain in some areas, it's up. Guess what? It's gonna rain. They want it to be some famine and stuff, guess what? It's not gonna rain. They're gonna make sure it don't. They want it to be cold, and I showed y'all. Remember the video I did with the snow? And we did a whole lot on that, like the snow and everything. How it was fake snow, and they was generating the snow and stuff. Like, we looking at this stuff from our standpoint today. The people that's actually living it, that's us. But what about the people that lived this stuff before? What did they experience? How was their stuff similar to ours? what different methods was incorporated to bring about DEPOP potential? And if they did, if there was a depopulation event that occurred centuries ago, would we know about it? Would it be written in the books, in the history books? You see what I mean? Or are you still part of the programming and for you not to understand or know that part? Obviously, they don't want you to know stuff now. Just like we was talking last time about the potential of this being a firmament and everything. It's a possibility. It's a strong possibility. And you got to think about this. You wouldn't know nothing about what was going on in that other firmament if there was one. You wouldn't know nothing about it. You would assume this is your everything. Because you in this like Toy Story, man. When Woody fell in that he went in there with Buzz. He was trying to save Buzz. And he went in there and he was in there with all them little alien things, right? Little alien stuffed animals or whatever, stuffed dolls. And then that claw stood above him. And that claw would drop down and it would grab one of them things out, take it, and drop it for a kid that was, you know, trying to win the prize. And the alien was like, oh, it's God. They was like, who runs this place? I think Buzz said. He said, and they were like, the claw. And he looked up. And then the claw ended up coming down, grabbing one of the things out. And he pulled it up. They pulled it up, and he was like, bye, I'm going to a better place, or something he was saying.
Are clear to enter. Welcome to the
now. Quickly, Sheriff. The airlock is closing. Oh! Watch where you're going. Sorry. Ah. What a spaceport! Good work, Woody.
Mom, can I play black hole? Please, please, please.
Andy! Now we need to find a ship that's headed for Sector 12.
Wait a minute, no, Buzz, this way. There's a special ship, I just saw it.
You mean it has hyperdrive?
Hyperactive hyperdrive. And astro, turf.
Where is it? I don't see it. Come on, that's it.
Spaceship! All right, Buzz, get ready. And...
The universe explodes.
Okay, Buzz, when I say go, we're gonna jump in the basket. Buzz! No! This cannot be happening to me.
A stranger from the outside.
Greetings. I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
Before your space journey, re-energize yourself with a slice of pepperoni. Now boarding at counter 3.
This is an intergalactic emergency. I need to commandeer your vessel to Sector 12. Who's in charge here?
The Claw is our master. Claw chooses who will go and who will stay.
This is ludicrous.
Hey, Bozo, you got a brain in there? Take that!
Oh, no! Sid! Get down!
What's cutting in you, Sheriff?
You are the one that decided to climb into this.
The Claw. It moves. I have been chosen. Farewell, my friends. I go on to a better place.
Gotcha. A Buzz Lightyear? No way!
Yes!
Buzz! No!
He has been chosen.
Hey, what are you doing? Stop it! Stop again, zealots!
All right, double prizes! Let's go home and play.
And they was like, oh, good, great, right? And he went off, and I think he went with Sid. But y'all remember that, right? I used to love Toy Story, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them. But like I said, you don't know what's going on. That's they machine they in. Okay? Guess what? It's like 5 other machines that grab stuff out in that particular pizza planet. 5 other machines is in there grabbing stuff out. Right? And them animals in there, those things in there would think that what? That's their God. It's grabbing stuff out and it's deciding what happens. It's just a way to analyze the situation. Like I said, for us, this is our world as we know it. Everything that pertains to this world is going to be in this world. Is going to sit right in here. Okay? If you were somehow in another world or a parallel universe, you would have the information as it pertains to that. Okay? But if you could somehow shift in between universes, would there be other people similar, other beings? Would there be other guidelines to reach spirituality? Would there be religion? You see what I'm saying? And we have to think about that, man, when we talk about where we at and what we are, and we know about these other different species and races of beings and stuff, right? Like I was just talking about the Anunnaki, we was talking about the Dracos, talking about the Lyrans, talking about the Pleiadians, the Palladians, I'm sorry, and the Andromedans. And that's not even the, that's not even the full complete list by any stretch. But do they have something similar already set up? Okay. What levels of technology do they have in place? Okay. You see what I mean? Like, we assume everything as it's based off of this realm, off this world. We can't think outside of nothing but this. And the guidelines that's been laid out by whoever put this together. Okay? Not necessarily whoever put this together, but who's running the show down. I mean, you go to the Bible, you take it from a biblical aspect. It said that basically Satan would have dominion over the earth. Okay? If he very well has that, does he have dominion over any other particular, you see what I'm saying? Firmaments and certain other different civilizations or people to control that realm and keep those folks trapped in there too, right? Like, who's to say once you leave here, boom, you gonna pop up in another one? Boop. Who's to say? You can't say you just going, and if you're gonna debate with me, you just gonna go off of what you learned in here and under the different stuff that was laid out for you here. And guess what? It's not for you to know outside this. You supposed to only soak up what they give you. And that's the biggest problem, man, I find with people. The people that are the naysayers and so lost, man, they base everything off of what they read, not what they feel, not what they sense. But how can you base it off your senses if your sixth sense ain't even active? Something you have to look at. So I'm saying, people try, like, people that have some type of connection, man, they understand that this stuff that we've been given, the stuff that we've been told, it's not what we believe it to be. It's not that. But the people that's completely oblivious, like, look, you see these people just driving down the street. And I told y'all, I said, I didn't watch people, man. Like I said, we already know it's fake people, it's generics, it's joys, it's homogenesis, man. You got freaking parasitic hosts. You got soulless beings. You got all kind of different stuff going on here, man. But you don't know that. You don't know that. Well, we may know that, but most people driving down the road, they don't know, they don't understand none of the depth of what's really going on here. They have no clue. When they die, they ain't gonna have no clue. So we can start there as far as you don't know this world based just off of that alone. You don't know also that we didn't die down for Satan gods. Just got real windy real quick. So I tell you, when I be talking about certain stuff, man. Right, but a lot of people don't understand that first and foremost that we're not the dominant race. So they also don't understand that there's a race of beings that have a duty that they see to control the population. So you haven't even accepted that. So you don't know that they are implementing things to control the population. Okay, and that's just on the physical standpoint. They haven't even assessed what's going on the spiritual realm, how all this relates to that. And I told y'all that if you can affect people, you got a certain method that you applying in the physical realm as far as getting people to come back to the hospital and take these medicines, and then they take that and they end up at the hospital again to take something else, and they end up at the hospital again to take something else, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Same thing with spirituality. Folks absorb certain information, boom, it's the information they wanted you to absorb. Well, why would they want you to absorb information for you to get out of it? Think about it. What good is it going to do them to give you the information that you need to get out of here? You see what I'm saying? So, of course, they going to mess with the stuff that you are receiving in this world. They're going to tamper with the stuff that you're able to receive. That way, you can't really get to a point where you connected to the source so that you can get out of here. Just like you can't get out of that cycle of returning back to the hospital and getting sick and everything else. Why? Because they make sure they don't tell you that parasites is a big part of why you sick and stuff. They remove the name so you can't identify. You just getting sick. You just can't get right. But I showed you that book where they was talking about, and I might play it in here. Play the piece where the girl was talking about it, right?
This book was written in 1993. An understanding of parasite infestation and its treatment is essential for true vitality and strong immunity. It says right here, a parasite cleanse is in order before attempting to heal other aspects of the body. You can't heal yourself if you have parasites. It's not happening. Again, this book was written in 1993. It says various parasites infect a major percentage of the population. Any holistic book that you read will tell you this. If you ask your doctor or nurse, they'll have no idea, and they'll say that you're crazy. Every holistic book, I'm telling you, Ayurvedic, African, Chinese medicine, they'll all talk about parasites and cleansing your body. However, this program should also be followed by virtually everyone with lingering illnesses or degenerative conditions, cancer, arthritis, AIDS, chronic fatigue syndromes, alcoholism, etc. Parasitic pathogens nearly always play a role in the etiology of degeneration. Bro, I didn't write this. They did.
So, but you would know that because they hid that from you. And that's, we talking about on a physical level, so they wouldn't hide that stuff from you as far as on the spiritual level. If you could get people to return to the same life cycle, returning, if you guide them to return, you don't think they would apply that too? Well, how would they apply it? by basically channeling that information to you, the same way they do in the programming with the TV, turn off TV, right? But people watch TV, what do they watch? They watching either something that's making them vibrate low, or it's telling them to do something that bring about their demise. That's all TV do. What positive programming is on TV? Is anything education that's really teaching you the stuff that you really need to know? You see what I'm saying? It's like the music. The music they put out, most of it is low vibrational music for a reason. To make sure that certain souls continue to recycle here. They vibrating low. They able to be infiltrated. Agents able to float in and through them. Then use them at will. Promoting alcohol and stuff that makes you vibrate on that level. So you're being used spiritually. And also you ain't able to leave here. And when you do exit your vessel, you right there sitting next to these same dark entities and spirits that's been waiting the whole time. It's already been tampering with your life. If that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, man, like there's a reason, like they this world isn't set up for you to get the information. You can't keep on, I tell people all that, you can't keep on depending on the stuff that they give you to try to figure things out. At some point, man, you got to just get connected. You got to get connected, man. You got to let that information come to you. You got to go straight to the source. Okay? And don't be so entangled. Don't be so entangled in the stuff that they want you to get involved with. The stuff that they hand out, the stuff that they push to you. Okay? If you can't break away from that, man, you can't break away from that, then it's gonna be hard for you to continue to mature, to continue to develop, because they got it capped. They got it capped to where it's like, hey, you get to this point, this is what you need to know, you good, but you're not. You know, and like I hate to always have to go back to it, but people, they make so much of a big deal about the Bible, then they go to the Apocrypha, and they go to all this stuff. Like, at the end of the day, man, I don't care what anybody say. God did not write those books. He ain't write that book. Like, it's a good little piece, man, this dude was talking about. I'm gonna put it in here, I think, where he was basically talking about how the different creatures and stuff, ain't nobody taught them how to live and stuff. You know what I mean? And then you talk about spiritual connection. We talk about telepathic ability as a spiritual being. You able to connect and you able to communicate telepathically, because once you leave this body, everything is telepathic. You're not going to have conversation with somebody like that. Okay? Now, you do have that power, but essentially they tamper with it out the gate. Now, I know a lot of people that say they communicate on a telepathic level. Okay? It goes back into the schizophrenia stuff and everything. So why are these parasites and stuff able to communicate with you telepathically? Because they don't talk, but they can send some voices in your head to tell you to do this, that, and the other, right? Just like you got insects, you got animals, you got people that make decisions and make moves based off of parasitic energy or spirits that are able to communicate to you through parasitic hosts. As crazy as it sounds. And this is why a lot of people commit suicide. I went into that stuff, man. And a lot of times it's because these people are loaded down with parasites. Now, I can't get into it. I don't know exactly which parasites. I don't know. That's a whole different thing, man. But when you talk about these receivers that they put in everybody's bodies, first off, okay, you talk about these receivers and things that they put in everybody's body, and how they able to control this stuff, and they able to get information. They also able to send information and signals and things, right? They able to do that. So you think they're gonna send good information? You see what I'm saying? You think they're gonna send good information, or they gonna try to tell you stuff that's gonna help you? Or either it's gonna be something that's gonna either torment your life, torment your spirit, or send you to an early death. You see what I'm saying? So, not completely understanding the spiritual world, but we understand that parasites bring your energy level down. That's something that we've been talking about. That's a known thing. Like, it ain't even got to come from me talking to y'all on, you know, the level that I talk to y'all. It's known that parasites lower your energy level. Okay? They lower your energy level. They steal your energy. Energy is part of the spiritual part of you. You know what I'm saying? Your energy is part of the spiritual side of you. They have an energy field that they send out. Okay? Just like I had that piece where the guy was talking about when you're drinking alcohol and stuff like that, it's known to lower your energy field and everything. Make you more susceptible to possession, which I told y'all as well that got to do with the chemical reaction that's happening in the brain that's messing with the pineal gland. That opens you up it opens you up for possession or whatnot, right? So if you taking these things and you're doing this stuff, man, and your spiritual portal opens up, boom, like your soul or spirit may exit temporarily and one of these dark entities jump inside of you and take over. You may not see it. It might not be to the degree of the level what you see in a movie like an exorcism, but that doesn't mean that you ain't in control of your vessel. That's why you black out. Now, I played a lot of pieces about that. So when you look at it from the standpoint of how the world works in a whole, and spirits, and who knows, in trees, spirits in animals, spirits in these parasites or whatever, or are these just mechanisms, are these parasites mechanisms to lower your vibration in order for you to be susceptible to spirits inhabiting your vessel? These are the different layers, man, that you have to look at what's going on. You see what I'm saying? So, well, a lot of people, man, they can't grasp any part of the spiritual concept, which that stuff is not being taught like that. But we understand that there's a connection there. There's a connection. There's also the aspect of energy, exchange of energy. It's like, you ever notice, man, like you could go into or let's say you get a phone call, man, and like I'm cognizant of this now, so I take extreme measures for this. Like, I don't let people mess with my energy, man. Don't let people mess with you, and don't let people steal your energy. Okay, if you got somebody, and I'm telling you this now, man, you got somebody that calls you, and they always got some negative stuff to talk about, always got some negative stuff happening, or they always negative. Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. Don't give them your energy. Because you absorbing negative energy is going to lower your vibration. It's going to lower your energy field. So now you guess what? You susceptible to possession. You susceptible for more negative, attracting more negative spirits and things. Because you vibrate low now. You see what I mean? So now you can be used. And then transference to spirits. That's how that stuff happens. Right? So you could get a call from somebody, they negative, talking negative stuff. You get right off the phone, what you doing? You talking negative to the person that's there with you. You getting into it with them now. They ain't even had nothing to do with what just happened. But that negative energy transferred. Okay? And boom, at the same token, it lowered your energy field. You low. That's why you want to keep your energy high. You want to stay vibrating high. Like I said, when you vibrate high, boom, guess what? You're repelling all that negative stuff. You're repelling the negative spirits and things too. But the same thing can be said, like when you got parasites and things in you that's lowering your energy field, you susceptible to spirits and things. You susceptible to sickness, disease, real sickness and illness. Just like, man, I tell you like this. If you ever been like in love before, right? If you ever been hurt, you might get sick. They call it, I think they call it like love sickness or something like that, where you sick basically behind love. But what is it? When you love somebody, guess what? Your energy high. When you in love and stuff, like you got a positive energy. That's a known thing, man. And that's why, like, in the hospital, when people were sick during the pandemic and stuff, they didn't let their loved ones come around. They didn't want them to get that positive energy. It's like I told you, when people come around, like, people be in the hospital, they be dying. A loved one could come whisper in their ear, and guess what? Boop, 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 boop. Wait a minute, we just had a very low pulse rate. Boop, 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 boop. Hey, we got a pulse. What is that? It's like negative energy has power to do stuff to you. Positive energy do the same thing. Love is positive energy. That's why I say when you got love in your heart, you vibrate, you are in alignment with your soul and your spirit. Guess what? You vibrating high. You got more power. It's like a battery been juiced up. Energy level off the chain. You see what I'm saying? So, like somebody this, and they kind of brush over that lightly in the movies. Like I said, with the Matrix and Neo, and like Trinity was dead, or Neo had died, and then Trinity kissed him. He felt the love. It wasn't so much the kiss; it was the love that he felt that woke him up, brought him back to life. You see what I'm saying? Just like you got these music artists, man. They got songs like "Save Me" and "You Saved Me." You brought me back to life. That's because they brought love to them. You bring love to a person, man, and it boosts them. It do. That's a real thing, man. Like, you can wake somebody up inside. You know, all of a sudden they got bells and whistles going off that they may not have had. They may have been, you know, deactivated or something. So that's the thing. Like in the pandemic, man, they wouldn't let people see their loved ones and whatnot, right? So like, people was dying and they couldn't talk to them, they couldn't see them, you know. But if you don't have that, like if you don't have that love and everything else, then you're gonna be weakened, right? Because you're also weakened, but you're also able to be at a very low state, low vibrational state, where you susceptible to possession and stuff like that. Does that make any sense? So yeah, like when you express love, man, you do stuff out of the kindness and goodness of your heart, man. You boosting other, you spreading positive energy. Like that person might feel good. Like say you walk out your house and you gave somebody $500. Guess what? They walk down the street, they feeling good about themselves. They see a homeless man like her, they give them $100. So boom, now the positive energy traveling. Now everybody's feeling good. Now you doing your part, you know, and you can feel that. Like you should feel good when you do something nice for somebody. You should feel good, you know. But some people, they don't got that kind of goodness in them, unfortunately. But like I was saying, man, you do things from the heart, man. You vibrating high, you spread that, you pass that, man. It circulates throughout the universe, atmosphere. That one kind good deed that you did is gonna travel to the next person, and so on and so on. Right? It's like I said, you got your negative energy, boom, you're gonna pass that on. They gonna pass it on. It's just like a domino effect. It's a domino effect. So, but no, man, what I was really alluding to, man, was just like the fact that people on their own, they on their own level of understanding, man. They in their own space. I just tell y'all, man, and I give people that leave kind comments, man, and people that appreciate the stuff I've done over the years, man, and know the struggle, know it's been real, know everything I went through to try to, you know, keep y'all abreast and, man, and be able to talk to you guys, at least give you the insight that you need to hear outside of the negative, you know, the negative influences that you have in your life. The people that don't agree with the stuff you see, the views that you have, or, you know, don't necessarily have that level of intellect. Because at the end of the day, man, it's a level of intellect. Regardless of what, if everything that you know is based off of what they're giving you, then you have a very low level of intellect. Because the stuff they're telling you is all lies. So how can you be intelligent if you accepting everything that's lies? You can't. So you can't get to a point where you even know what the hell to do or how to do it, because you're basing everything that you're doing off of lies and deception by design. You see what I'm saying? So when you get to a certain level of intellect, man, either you know or you absorb information or you're thinking freely for yourself. Whether you right or you wrong, you're thinking freely, you open yourself to the endless possibilities of what could be and what potentially is. And guess what? You got a better chance of being on the right track, because the information that you're receiving ain't tampered with. It ain't tinkered with. It's your own perception, it's your own assessment of the information as it comes to you. If that makes sense.
Underneath the bridge, top of spring.